Have you ever stopped in the middle of a gardening store, staring at rows of shiny fertilizer bags, and asked yourself why it always costs so much? Every year the price tag gets higher, the packaging gets flashier, and the promises get louder. Yet your plants at home never seem to look quite like the pictures on the bags. The leaves aren't as green, the flowers don't bloom as quickly, and the fruits are often smaller than you expected. What if I told you that the most powerful fertilizer you could ever use is already sitting inside your kitchen? Not hidden in a lab, not produced in a billion-dollar factory, but right there in the scraps that most people throw into the trash. And what if I also told you that big corporations don't want you to know this truth, because if you did, their entire business model could collapse overnight? Today I'm going to show you a recipe, a secret formula that turns waste into power, a super fertilizer that can transform your plants in just 2 weeks, and it will cost you practically nothing. For decades, the fertilizer industry has convinced gardeners and farmers that chemicals in brightly colored bags are the only solution. They have spent millions on marketing campaigns telling you that without their products, your soil is weak, your crops are doomed, and your garden will never thrive. But the reality is the opposite. Nature has always provided what plants need. The only reason most people don't realize this is because corporations have worked very hard to keep the knowledge buried. They want you to depend on them forever, buying the same bags over and over. But the secret is simple, and once you see it, you'll never look at your kitchen waste the same way again. The recipe relies on 4 humble ingredients: alfalfa, potato peels, leftover tomato or pepper scraps, and milk. That's it. 4 everyday things that combine into one of the most balanced fertilizers you could ever imagine. Alfalfa brings nitrogen and a growth hormone that acts like a turbo boost for plants. Potato peels provide potassium, the mineral responsible for strong stems, vibrant flowers, and delicious fruit. Tomato and pepper scraps add even more potassium and a range of trace minerals that store-bought fertilizers rarely deliver. And milk supplies calcium, strengthening cell walls, preventing fruit from rotting, and improving overall plant immunity. When these ingredients ferment together, they transform into a living solution, filled with beneficial microbes that unlock nutrients and make them instantly available to roots. Think about the brilliance of this combination. Each ingredient represents a part of the puzzle that plants need to grow to their full potential. Alfalfa is not just rich in nitrogen, it contains a natural compound called triacontanol. Scientists have proven that this substance increases photosynthesis, improves enzyme activity, and accelerates plant growth at a cellular level. Farmers who have tested alfalfa extracts report faster germination and stronger seedlings. That's why alfalfa has been used in organic farming for decades. By adding it to your homemade fertilizer, you give your plants the kind of boost that chemical companies charge a fortune for. Now consider the potato peel. Most people toss it into the trash without thinking twice, but hidden inside those thin skins is a powerful dose of potassium. Potassium is the nutrient that regulates water inside plants, improves stress tolerance, and most importantly, drives the production of flowers and fruits. Without enough potassium, plants may grow tall but weak, with blossoms that drop prematurely and fruits that fail to ripen properly. By boiling the peels, you unlock this nutrient into the water, creating a concentrated natural solution. Add tomato and pepper scraps to the mix, and you amplify the effect. These vegetables are naturally high in potassium, phosphorus, and trace minerals like magnesium and iron, which are essential for fruit quality and overall plant health. And then there's milk. At first glance, milk might seem like an unusual ingredient for fertilizer, but it's one of the most powerful natural sources of calcium available. Calcium is critical for building strong cell walls, which means sturdier stems and leaves that can resist pests and diseases. If you've ever grown tomatoes or peppers and noticed the bottom of the fruit turning black and rotten, you've seen what happens when plants don't get enough calcium. It's called blossom end rot, and gardeners often panic when they see it. But adding milk into this homemade fertilizer prevents that problem before it ever begins. Milk also contains beneficial proteins and sugars that microbes love, which means your fermentation process becomes even more active. So how do you actually make this secret formula? The process is simple. Start by collecting the peels of 3 or 4 medium-sized potatoes and a handful of tomato or pepper scraps. Place them in a pot with about 2 liters of water and bring it to a boil for 15 minutes. This step extracts the nutrients and infuses the water with potassium and minerals. Once the liquid cools, strain it and pour it into a large container that can hold at least 5 liters. Add 1 cup of dried or ground alfalfa, half a cup of milk or yogurt, and a teaspoon of molasses or brown sugar. Then fill the container with clean, chlorine-free water until you reach 5 liters. Stir the mixture well, cover it loosely with a cloth to allow gases to escape, and let it sit at room temperature for 3 to 5 days. Stir the mixture once a day. During this time, fermentation occurs. You'll notice bubbles, a mild earthy smell, and maybe a thin layer of foam. That means your microbes are alive and working. After the fermentation period, strain the liquid, and your super fertilizer is ready to use. Using it correctly is just as important as making it. For soil feeding, dilute 1 part of the fertilizer with 10 parts of water. Pour it around the base of your plants once a week. For foliar feeding, which means spraying it directly on the leaves, dilute it even further, 1 part fertilizer to 20 parts water. Spray in the early morning or late evening, never under direct sunlight, to avoid burning the leaves. With these applications, you'll start to notice changes quickly. Within days, leaves will appear greener and fuller. Within 2 weeks, stems will thicken, new buds will form, and flowers will open earlier than expected. If you keep using it consistently, the fruits will be larger, juicier, and healthier. Now let's ask the big question: why don't companies tell you about this? The answer is obvious. If everyone realized that potato peels, tomato scraps, alfalfa, and milk can replace expensive fertilizers, the billion-dollar chemical industry would lose its customers overnight. Their profit depends on keeping you in the dark, making you believe that only they hold the secret to strong plants. They sell you glossy packaging, complicated formulas, and slogans that play on your fears of crop failure. But they cannot replicate the simplicity and efficiency of nature. Microbes don't need a factory. They need food. And food is exactly what your kitchen waste provides. The benefits of this recipe are undeniable. First, it's cheap, almost free. You're literally taking what most households throw away and turning it into plant power. Second, it's safe. Unlike synthetic fertilizers, which can build up salts in the soil and eventually kill beneficial organisms, this homemade version feeds the soil instead of depleting it. Third, it's sustainable. Every time you use it, you reduce waste, recycle nutrients, and improve the health of your garden without harming the environment. And finally, it's empowering. You no longer have to depend on corporations or overpriced products. You hold the solution in your own hands. Of course, there are some cautions. More is not always better. If you use the fertilizer too concentrated, it could overwhelm the roots or attract pests. Always dilute it properly. Don't spray leaves in the heat of the day. And remember, because this fertilizer is alive, it doesn't last forever. Keep it in the refrigerator and use it within 7 to 10 days. After that, make a new batch. The process is so simple and inexpensive that there's no reason not to. To truly see how powerful this recipe is, run your own experiment. Take 2 identical plants of the same type. Feed one with this super fertilizer and leave the other untreated or with store-bought fertilizer. Over the next 2 weeks, document the changes. Measure the height, count the number of leaves, observe the color and thickness of the stems, and track how many flowers appear. By the end of the test, the difference will be undeniable. One plant will look average, while the other will look like it came straight out of a gardening magazine. This kind of proof doesn't come from advertising, it comes from your own eyes. There's also a deeper truth here. By making this fertilizer, you're not just helping your plants, you're joining a quiet resistance against corporate control of agriculture. Every time you recycle potato peels into food for your soil, you're taking money away from companies that profit from chemicals. Every time you pour milk into the mix, you're saying no to the idea that only synthetic formulas can prevent disease. Every time you stir that fermenting bucket of scraps, you're connecting with the way humans have nourished plants for centuries, before big business took over. This is more than gardening. It's freedom. So here's my challenge for you. Don't just listen to this video and forget it. Go to your kitchen, collect your scraps, and make this recipe today. Test it on your favorite plant. Watch how it changes over the next 2 weeks. Then come back here and share your results. Tell us what plant you used it on, how it responded, and whether the growth surprised you. Let's build a community of gardeners who share real experiences, not marketing lies. Let's prove that knowledge and action are stronger than any advertisement. If you found this secret valuable, there's more to come. Hit the subscribe button, because in the next video I'm going to reveal another hidden fertilizer formula, one that is even cheaper, even stronger, and even more shocking. The big companies don't want you to hear about it, but here, we uncover the truth. Nature has always provided the answers. The only question is, are you ready to use them?